very much, Dr. Marzouk. Let me come to Awal Mohammed.
Yeah, I think if you check what is happening in Mali, not Mali alone, all Africa is under some kind of neo-colonialism. But it is worse with the francophone countries. Yeah. And the way it is even happening over there, it really doesn't really portend well for Africa. Because if you check the francophone countries, they are almost dominant. And if these countries are under severe neo-colonialism, if you go to Ivory Coast, for instance, where the president sits, it's being rented to them by France.
Oh, sure.
You understand? So it tells you the kind of servitude the people are in. So I am not really surprised that there is really this junta taking over almost all the countries. If you check what is happening in Mali, why will UN decide to pull out? Why will France decide to pull out? Is it the case that the country is almost barren? They do not have more natural resources that they will be able to exploit, and the reason they are moving away? Check Niger. When it happened in Niger, they came in, use our own leaders in Africa to make sure that they are able to really restore order in Niger. When Mali is on its knees, when Burkina Faso is also the same, at least what I expected is that let's move to constitutional rule. Tell them. They will be happy, even if you even allow them contest. In most cases, they don't even allow them contest. But even if you allow them contest, I am always happy that even if it's a, look at Rwanda. Yeah. It's a democracy. Even though there are worse human rights records there today. Sure. Even though the man is celebrated across the world. Yeah. But at least when you go inside, when you read about the country, there is no opposing views there. But it's better than what we see here. Now close to 1,000 people are dead. Now they are telling us that sugar has moved up to about 25%. Yes. And when you see 25% to movement of sugar, it's very, very dire for the people there. Because in a francophone country, when you go there and buy something at 100, say 100 cedis, in the next 1 year, you can still buy it at 100 cedis. Yeah. Because they control inflation. Yeah. So if really sugar alone has moved to 25%, the reason they mention sugar is that it's a country that consumes a lot of sugar because they take a lot of tea. So it's really something that I will agree with Alhaji that indeed it's a sabotage. Because why will you leave? If you are even leaving, just a day after you announce you are leaving, then there is this catastrophe there. I think something must be done. African leaders must also rise up. Let's move them back to democracy, even if the military is allowed to even continue. At least that will help. Let them elect the people, even if the elections is manipulated. We see elections being manipulated in a lot of places and so on. But at least, let's tell France that enough is enough. At least France can live. We are under Commonwealth. But at least we don't experience what these francophone countries experience. Yeah. At least let them be free small, so that at least they are able to protect their own people.
Right, right. Thank you very much, Awal Mohammed. You two can be a part of this conversation. Let me know what your thoughts are. Text lines, as you can see, has been displayed on your screens. Send in your messages.
You know, let me, I mean, I just mentioned France.
Right.
You know, France is a huge problem in this saga.
A big one.
Yes, huge, big one in this saga.
Yeah. You
understand? You know, and it started during the days of colonialism. Yeah. You know, the British came with a policy of indirect rule.
Indirect rule.
Right.
And they came with
assimilation. The policy of assimilation. Yes. And assimilation, from day one, the policy of assimilation was designed to destroy the African culture.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you go to the francophones and you can see almost zero cultural confidence.
Yes.
Everything. So they created France Afrique. They created a French person in Africa.
Yes.
And they expect that the francophone Africans should be able to behave like French people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything from the, what kind of system is this? And even after the so-called independence, they designed programs that will still keep them in perpetual colonialism.
Yes.
Today, the world has come to a stage where the colonized, those who were deemed to be perpetually colonized, have decided to call for total liberation, and that is what we are witnessing. So France, yes, is a world power, must learn that it cannot control the people
all of the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
It can only control the people. Some of the people, some of the time. So not all the people, all the time.
Right, right. We'll proceed to our next topic for discussion. And before Awal came here, he actually shared on his Facebook that meet me at Pan-African Television at 8 a.m. to discuss the abortive demo. As to why he thinks it's abortive, I'm sure he has his own reasons. But yesterday, the minority in Parliament, led by the minority leader, Bless Alormasor, and also some other members of Parliament joined him, the rank and file of the National Democratic Congress, some civil society organizations like Arise Ghana, some other political parties like the People's National Convention, also the Convention People's Party, the GCPP, and a host of other parties. They joined that demonstration to protest the removal of, or they want the removal of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Ernest Addison. What are their reasons? They say that the governor of the Bank of Ghana, he actually oversaw a 60 billion loss that is with regards to last year's finances, and also for the very fact that in the heat of all these, they have decided to put up, or they are actually putting up, which is I think around 41% complete or so, putting up a new office. The justification for that is that a structural integrity test conducted have revealed that this current Bank of Ghana office is not fit for purpose. According to them, even if there's an earthquake right now, that building will be raised down. So that's one of the justifications for the putting up of the $250 million new office of the Bank of Ghana. But this demonstration was supposed to have happened a long time ago. I think somewhere in September. It was postponed, I think, a couple of times, and then finally yesterday it happened. One would say that it was largely peaceful for the very fact that things we saw in the OccupyBOG protest, which also took place, I think, last week, we didn't see yesterday. It was a peaceful march. They wanted to meet the governor of the Bank of Ghana and present the petition to him, but the governor said he was in a meeting with his two deputies, meeting with the IMF. So he actually delegated his head of security to come for the letter, which the minority actually deemed disrespectful. So they didn't give the letter to him. But like I said, it was a peaceful protest. The Ghana Police Service, they provided security for the protesters. There was no brutality meted out as we've seen with some protesting in days past. It was a largely peaceful protest. But let me find out from Awal Mohammed why he thinks it was an abortive demonstration.
Thank you so much. I think largely they did not achieve what they set out to do. So I can just in one word say it's abortive.
What did they seek to achieve?
Yes. When you listen to Alormasor mentioned that they went there purposely to meet the governor or the two deputies to hand over a petition to them. They did not really get the three of them to hand over. So if you ask me to summarize, I'll tell you it's an abortive demonstration. But looking at the resources they have put in this, because they started 2 weeks ago with community engagements. I was shocked, to be very honest, to find out an NDC as a political party is calling on people to come for a demonstration. NDC got not less than 1 million votes in Accra alone in the last elections. Then they went round to do community engagement for 2 weeks. This is the first time, if my memory serves me right, that any major political party, both NDC and NPP, to organize demonstration and go and hold rallies in their strongholds. They went to Nima, they went to Choko, they went to areas to call on people. We are going to OccupyBOG, so we need your support. Come out and support us. The numbers were good, but at least not as much as I anticipate to see. Yesterday, I was on TV in the morning. Just after the show, I drove through Circle to the office. I saw them standing there. I was highly disappointed the number of people I saw there. Because this is a political party that got 6 million votes in the last elections. And they got not less than 1 million votes in Accra. So I was really, I said, okay, maybe they are now massing up. Initially, they told us they will converge at 7 and start moving at 8. They moved around 12:30 because I was monitoring on YouTube. I went to the office, was monitoring, and I knew they would come and pass in front of our office. When they came, I stood out to watch. I stood there for more than 30 minutes to watch the entire crowd. Because they got there and they stood. Because, you know, my office is closer to the new Bank of Ghana building. That is 40 or 50% complete. So they stood there to address the crowd. So that was the reason I had to stand in front of our office for more than 30 minutes to see the crowd. Because I was hoping to see the 100,000 people they said. Because that was what they advertised. That they will have 100,000 people on the streets to register to the people of this country that indeed the Bank of Ghana is bankrupt in their ways. You understand that? So I was really surprised to have seen that. The numbers were not up to that really their expectations. That's one. Two is that as I had the numbers all right, but you had people coming from across the country coming. Because I was on, yes, I was on
a working day.
Yes, I was on TV when they called a reporter and he said there is a car that has come from Tamale and they are now disembarking. You understand? I saw my own brother from Boku, where I come from, Sani Kahuna, who is an assemblyman in Boku, who is a communicator for NDC. I saw him yesterday here. He was in Boku. He traveled all the way from Boku to this place. I saw your own friend, Comrade Gafaru, from Northeast, all the way to this place. So it was a nationwide kind of an event that happened yesterday. The beauty of it was taken, the shine was taken out of it by what Sasu, the MP for Medina, did, and the address by Atufosin. The two addresses. The rest, they spoke well as protesters and so on. But if you have the MP for Medina, even though this morning, before I entered this studio, let me be fair to him, I listened to him on Neat FM. I was just listening to the interview when Ivan came. He apologized for the words he used. You understand? He apologized on Neat FM this morning. Because before I entered, I was listening to that interview. But when you see, I don't want to translate. If I am not an MP, I will have said this. And you continue to say it. Just like the things they say when I'm told they are crapping people, can even say me pacho, then they say we are boa. You understand? Just like an account person say sebi sebi, then he insults. You understand?
Yeah.
It is really unparliamentary. He's someone I like so much, looking at his history, where he comes from, and where he has gotten to. I love human rights lawyers, the work he has done before he entered parliament. You remember at a point in time, he lost the primaries in Medina just because of Chasentry. Someone who went to the church where former President Mahama used to worship with a pistol. You remember this story? He went there with a pistol. Then he was arrested. He said he wanted to come and shoot the president. So he was arraigned before court the following day and was sentenced for 10 years in prison. Sasu went to court, got the man out, and he was sent to a psychiatric hospital.
Pro bono.
Pro bono. Exactly. And that was the reason he lost in 2015 the primaries. Because they said he went against someone who wanted to kill the president. Those days I was in NDC, so I know what I am talking about. He was my friend. You understand? So I love him because of the work he does. He's a human rights lawyer. In Africa today, you hardly find people like him who do it pro bono. A lot of the work that he had done, he did the work pro bono. And at the end, he got even his license seized. He was suspended for like 3 years. So he's someone I love so much, I have followed so much. I don't like his politics because he's NDC and MPP. You understand? But at least, and he's a pastor too. I have seen him preach a number of times because he preached with his own stories. He has written books about his own childhood upbringing. You understand? So such a person will come and say he's a gutter person, reminding people that he's a gutter person, and he will want to say, if not that he's representing the people of Medina, he will have insulted. And he went ahead to insult. So it took the shine out of the program yesterday. The second one is Atufosin. I was shocked and surprised that Atufosin would disrespect that man in front of him. And the outburst by Sam George too. Because you see, they were not there to call for reforms. They were there to call for the head of the three people. And you expect them to come and take the petition. It defies logic. It defies common sense for someone to expect. You are telling me that leave that office. Someone is coming to say that, Bless, you are not competent to host this show. If Kwame is not there.
Yeah.
So we want you out. You are here working, and the person says, okay, come out and receive the petition that we want to remove you.
You're there for us.
Can you imagine this? And what will have happened to them too? You will wait, you may say that, well, if anything happens to them, the leaders will be held responsible. Why will they wait for something to happen to them?
So it is based on this analogy.
Yes.
But of course, I understand why Ernest Addison and his two deputies decided not to go for that petition, of course, for security reasons. I would have been surprised if he had actually gone anyway.
No. But they did not give that reason. They said they were in a meeting with IMF.
And
this is a verifiable thing. Because when they mention IMF, you can verify from IMF with an email. When you write to you write now, Pan African can even do it. Write an email to IMF that is it true that yesterday you had a meeting with the governor and the two deputies?
Yes, for the very fact that they weren't able to present the petition to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, i.e. Ernest Addison. Does that water down the relevance of yesterday's demonstration? I mean, for the very fact that people poured out to the streets, onto the streets, and carried placards with various inscriptions on it, and they were able to drum home their points. Is it not enough to say that it was successful? And Ernest Addison may already have seen that, okay, these are the grievances of the people, and not necessarily he having a piece of paper that tells him directly to the face that you've misgoverned the Bank of Ghana and then you ought to go.
Atufosin told the people of this country that they did not achieve what they sought to do. So you expect me to say that they achieved?
If he had received the...
He is the leader of the demonstration.
I'm coming. If Ernest Addison had received the letter, would he have said, okay, I've received the letter, so I'm going? Or, okay, as long as I haven't received the letter, I'll still stay in office. Would it have made any difference?
That's a question we should ask the minority who staged it and felt that it is not about drawing the attention of Ghanaians, but it's about sending the thing to give it to him. Well, that's the crux of it, because the leader is saying that we are disappointed because we wanted to see him or the two of his deputies to hand over. So we cannot hand over our petition. What is contained in the petition, you and I do not know, as we sit here, because they didn't read it. They said, we are going to, what I know is that at the end, you read, then you present. But he didn't even read. He said he felt disrespected that a director is coming to take it. I'm surprised that Sam George will call a director at Bank of Ghana a watchman.
Director of security. Yeah.
No, he joined Bank of Ghana as a director, but his assigned role is in charge of security. He's a management member at Bank of Ghana. When you have someone who is a management member of Bank of Ghana, you call him is a watchman. How many of them? I just don't want to denigrate anyone. But when you ask Sam George, which profession has he worked for 26 years? 26 years as a military person. He rose through the ranks, so 26 years. He's a lawyer who qualifies to be a Supreme Court judge today, because he's a lawyer of 16 years standing. And you call him a watchman. And he came in to tell you that, well, they are in a meeting with IMF, which is verifiable. You can just write to, Pan-African can write to IMF and they will tell you whether they were in a meeting with them or not. Then you tell them, okay, we will not hand over. Then you leave, right? But you don't denigrate the man. He even was telling them, I'm a lawyer like you. He told one of the lawyers in the ensuing Emily that I'm a lawyer like you. But he went ahead to say he is a watchman because he's in charge of security. Look at Bank of Ghana. The entire work they do, about 70% of their operations is security, because they move monies from Accra to Paga, to Boku, to Tempane, to Axim, to Efidiase, to almost every part of this country with security. So about 70% of the real work they do is security. So the man in charge of this, when you go to Bost and Tema Oil Refinery and some few other places where they do this transport and so on, the head of security is a management member because of the critical work he does. So it's quite disheartening when you have a MPs who must know better will call someone who is a director at Bank of Ghana just a watchman. It's really unfortunate. That's the reason I told you that the entire demonstration was an abortive demonstration, because they did not achieve what they sought to achieve, because they wanted to present a petition to him. They did not give the petition to him. And they are even lucky. If I were him, I wouldn't have allowed even a director to come for it. I would have allowed a watchman, so to speak.
No, then now you are preaching virtue and practice.
No, I'm saying that. I will even allow...
If you are saying this, then, I mean, the whole essence of your argument is not to denigrate anybody.
I've not ended. But what I'm saying is, I will have allowed a security man in uniform to come for it, because you're calling for my head. You're not calling for a reform. So I should come and take the document that is telling me to leave office myself in person. It defies logic, my brother.
But I mean, the concerns they raised and the reasons or the motivation for this demonstration, do you think they are legitimate? We
do not know what is contained in the document, because yesterday they did not read it.
I've told you some of the concerns they've been raising. It has got to do with the 60 billion losses.
Bank of Ghana,
and also the decision to to put up a $250 million structure.
Bank of
in
Ghana
the heat of all this economic turmoil.
Bank of Ghana came out with responses. They mentioned the 60 billion, that it's not really they just lost their money as part of their operations. They absorbed 50% of the when we did the debt restructuring, 50% of the haircuts. Again, some losses in terms of exchange rate losses and so on. These are the things that Bank of Ghana has put out. There's no single communications from the NDC to disprove what they had done, to say that no, it is not true that you have really absorbed the 50% haircut. The NDC never said that. That indeed what they have espoused, the reasons they have really put out, that they have really incurred these losses are not legitimate or are not true. The NDC never said that. So that's very important.
Right.
You understand? Right. So with the new headquarters, they mentioned that the conception didn't start yesterday. It started from the NDC's times, from 2013, that they need a new headquarters. To the extent that at a point in time, Wadaku was about to even sell a piece of land for them. So it didn't really start from yesterday, and they feel that this is the best time to do it. Don't forget that they are not under the control of government. It is semi-autonomous. Bank of Ghana have their own rules. Today, President cannot remove the governor for Bank of Ghana because he has some kind of job security. So, as some semi-autonomous institution, they took that decision. The way they took the decision to build a hospital, which government did not control, it didn't contain in any of the budget in this country, or the State of the Nation's address by any government in this country, that they are putting out a hospital. They put out the hospital. The same reason they used to put out the headquarters. So they have come out with their responses. I expected the minority to invite them to Parliament to scrutinize their responses. But you don't go on the streets and you want to register your displeasure. You want them to receive it themselves. They have asked a director who is a management member to come and take the petition. You feel disrespected because you've seen that. Right. It's just unfortunate.
Right, right. Thank you very much, Awal Mohammed. The Honourable Member of Parliament for the good people of Tamale Central has just joined us. The third Mohammed we have in the house, Comrade Murtala Mohammed. It's been a while, Comrade. It's nice to see you once again.
Nice to be here, and let me apologize for coming late. Actually, I had agreed to come on a different network, so when you called, I couldn't have said no, because Pan-Africa TV called, so I had to, and my expectation was that we're going to finish early. I had to even run from the program. That is why I'm late. You know, I don't behave like my friends. I've always been very punctual.
Right. So we're having conversations in relation to yesterday's protest. Some of your colleagues were there, and the civil society organizations like Arise Ghana, other political parties like the PNC, the CPP, the GCPP, they were all there seeking the resignation of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Ernest Addison. Now, I think I stated the reasons or the motivation or the inspiration behind this protest for the very fact that last year, some 60 billion losses, which is the very first in Ghana's political history. I mean, to that tune, 60 billion Ghana cedis, I mean, I beg your pardon. 60.8 billion Ghana cedis. Also the 60.08, and also the decision 0.8, not 0.08, and also the decision to actually put up a new office to the tune of some $250 million. When, of course, we know our current economic situation. Your thoughts on yesterday's event? He says that it was an abortive demonstration for the very fact that what you sought to achieve wasn't achieved. You wanted to see Ernest Addison himself and then present the petition to him. And so for the very fact that you didn't meet him, it means that that demonstration was abortive. And also, he is not encouraged by the number of persons who poured out onto the streets to express their grievances towards the governor of the Bank of Ghana.
Well, I listened to my brother, but let me say good morning to your cherished, viewers, and good morning to my kid brother, and coincidentally my senior brother to Dr. Marzuka, and good morning to yourself. I listened to him. The arrogance with which they communicate. I thought he's a believer of democracy. And for him to communicate the manner in which he did is understandable. Because you see, he was one with us. He was once with the NDC. So for him cross-carpeting to MPP, he must do something extra to be appreciated. And so I can understand why my kid brother will chatter the part he's chattering. What happened yesterday was the profoundest of disrespect that Central Governor, the Governor of Central Bank of Ghana can give to the Parliament of Ghana. And I'll take you to Article 183 of the 1992 Constitution. And for the avoidance of doubt, let me just read. If you look at Article 183 of the 1992 Constitution, it says, among others, that the Central Bank of Ghana, which is the bank of last resort, lender of last resort, it is the bank that every financial institution operates under the jurisdiction of the Central Bank of Ghana. We live in a country where we have all agreed collectively to charter the path of democracy. And chartering the path of democracy, it means that we are willing to give up our desires, individual desires, for the desire that inure to the benefit of the people of this country. And therefore, when we live in a democracy, your conduct, particularly when you are managing resources that belongs to the state, must be regulated by an external force, and that external force is the laws of Ghana. Article 183 of the 1992 Constitution says, among others, that the functions of the central bank is to promote domestic currency and maintain its stability. Yeah. There is a promote the economy or finances, the domestic currency, and maintain its stability. Now, if you look at, lawyers will tell you that when you are making laws, particularly a constitution, and you want to look at functions of institutions, the first one that comes is deemed to be the most important one. Is that not the case, Doctor?
Sure.
A, to promote and maintain the stability of the domestic currency. That is the core mandate of the central bank. Has this governor and the central bank been able to maintain the stability of the currency of Ghana? The answer is emphatic no. Because Dr. Nashru was the last person to head that office. Dr. Nashru left for this government less than 4 cedis to the dollar. This governor of Central Bank of Ghana. He has taken it. In fact, he took it up to 15 cedis plus. Today is 11.60. So he's been consistent of his inability to maintain some stability of the domestic currency. Isn't that enough a justification to ask this man to go? Isn't that enough a justification? Because if your core mandate is to promote and maintain stability of the domestic currency, and for the 7 years you have held this office, there has never been a reduction except that it is rising. The cedi to the dollar, it is depreciating day by day. In fact, this year alone, this year, we're in what? October. Yeah. The cedi has depreciated by 11.4%. So it is enough a justification to say that that man should honorably and humbly resign. I listened to him. He said the governor of central bank, government cannot control them, government cannot dictate to them. Yet the same governor says that they had to take care of the recklessness of the executive arm of government in what? The haircut that they had. The governor of Bank of Ghana, if he was independent, he could have told the executive government, I won't do it. That is what the law expects him to do. So on the basis of the fact that he succumbed to the whims and caprices of the executive, it's enough a justification to call for him to go. But I'll come to the issues. I mean, it's so nauseating. I mean, sometimes when you listen to some of this. Now, my brother says that, we haven't provided any evidence, and that all the issues we raised, the Central Bank of Ghana responded, and that the NDC has not challenged. That is utterly not true. The very day the Central Bank held their press conference, the minority leader responded to it all of us responded on several platforms, including yours, responded and questioned the lies that were chained out by the governor of Central Bank of Ghana. But you see, there are three sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. And I want to use an analogy. Doctor, Alhamdulillah, we are all parents. I don't know whether you have kids. You have? Okay, you have a daughter. Now, schools have resumed. Now, your kids are supposed to go to school and they are supposed to pay their school fees. Then you tell them that no, you don't have the money yet. You say, okay, you are not going to school today. They understood. The next day, Tuesday, their colleagues are going to school. No, you are not going to school. Then the kids ask you, why, Daddy? He says, I haven't been able to pay your school fees because I don't have money yet. So understand. When I get the money, I will pay, and then you can go and start your classes. Your children understood and be praying. Their father doesn't have the money yet. The next day, you came home with a new car. Then the children asked you, Daddy, where did you get this car? Oh, I bought it. Why? The old car I was using is not befitting to my status. And therefore, I bought a new car. Wouldn't your children say you are a very irresponsible father? Now, we are in where we are, occasioned by the recklessness of this government, supported by a central bank governor who is not independent and who doesn't do anything. When the president asks him jump, he will ask, how high do you want me to jump? When he even knows that the law, the constitution, gives him some level of autonomy, that you can disagree with the position taken by the executive government under the circumstances because the constitution of Ghana expects you to perform certain functions. Now, that central governor, Bank of Ghana, let's look at the reasons why we think that you should be joining the demonstration, not just the NDC. The reasons. And this statement was not created by NDC. I served in the Public Accounts Committee. This statement was a statement generated by the central bank, supervised by Dr. Addison. In their management letter and financial report to the Auditor General, before they do audit, you have to give your report, the financial state of the institution you are running. What they submitted to the Auditor General, they themselves, that they have a negative liquidity of 55 billion. You know what it means? It means that our reserves are so empty that we have gone into negative about 55 billion. That's what it means. Now they have spent 131 million Ghana cedis on vehicular maintenance. Why are they using Lamborghinis, Chryslers, Rolls Royce? 131 million a year on vehicular maintenance. Man, they have a department for mechanics at the Central Bank of Ghana who are paid every month by the state. So they are paid to perform a particular function, except that when there are extra functions that ought to be performed, that they may seek external support to do that, and they have spent 131 million Ghana cedis for vehicular maintenance. They have spent 97 million Ghana cedis on foreign and domestic travels. At a time when the president himself directed the ministers and government appointees should reduce their travel except that which are essential, not necessary, essential. Now, the minister and the president could not have taken this position if he never had proper briefing from the Minister of Finance, including the central bank governor. Yet they spent that much for domestic and external travels. They spent 357 million on banking supervision. 357 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision. Note, the central bank has a department that is clothed with the authority and the capacity to perform this function. And those who man those offices are employees of the central bank who are paid every month. Their salary every region, central bank has a regional office. Those who work there have the responsibility of supervising the conduct and operation of financial institutions within the regions. They are paid for the work they are doing. So if you have this much spent, it means that there's an extra work you have done. The 357 million Ghana cedis, are they supervising all the banks in the continent of Africa? Maybe perhaps they have taken a responsibility that we do not know to supervise the banks of Nigeria, Bank of Kenya, to supervise their work. Because it is ridiculous. Again, and I'm coming to a point that will be of interest to you. They have spent 67 million on computer-related services. They are not saying on buying computers. In any case, granted they are buying computers.
Because when you check
Hold on, my brother. They bought computers. Let me even say not services. 67 million Ghana cedis. Why? They refurbish all their computers across the country. How many computers can fit into the Central Bank of Ghana? If it is your personal money, will you spend it this way? And I thought as a communicator of MPP, you should be worried. When you are attempting to defend a body that you claim is independent, you have become unsolicited communicator for that body. A body which you claim that they are independent. They are not under the control of the executive government. Then let them defend their case. You see, another one. They spent 32 million Ghana cedis on communication. The Central Bank has a public relations department. They have a director in charge of public relations. And that director comes with officers who are paid every month their salary. So someone should tell me, beyond the salaries they are paid to perform a particular function, how did they come by spending this 32 million Ghana cedis? How did they come by it? Because, Doctor, you have run an institution, several institutions before. You have a PR department. You pay them every month. So when they are supposed to do things that are in line of their function, they do them. Sure. Because at the end of the month, they take salary. Now, if there is an extra amount of money that is spent, maybe perhaps my brother hasn't seen. I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee. I've seen the details.
Myself to have read the details, so I will explain.
Oh.
Yes, I've also read the details. Yes.
We'll come to the details. That's fine. We'll come to the details. Yes. We'll be exposed this morning. Again. And what will blow your mind? Look, they spent 287 million and $2 million, 287 million Ghana cedis, plus $2 million to buy gold watches for retirees of the Central Bank of Ghana. That's the explanation they provided. How many people retired from the Central Bank of Ghana in 2022? How many people retired? How many gold watches do they need? They may have people who retire. The biggest person and the one who should earn the highest salary and condition of service at the Central Bank should be the governor. Beyond the governor should be the two deputies. Before you move to directors, the governor didn't retire. The two deputies didn't retire. The directors, top notch, they didn't retire. So who were the officers? Is it the security men, with all due respect, or other people who render some services, cleaners, who retired for which reason? They spent 287 million Ghana cedis plus $2 million to buy gold watches. They didn't say watches, gold watches to buy for them. Even if the president is ending his office, do we buy a gold watch for him that will spend that much to buy gold watches for people?
Is that novel? Is that novel? Is that a novelty? The buying of gold watches.
Are we talking about novelty?
No, I'm asking because Bank of Ghana have standard procedure, and I'm asking whether it's a novelty.
Procedure? I'll come to that.
Yes, it's not a novelty. It's something that you even spent higher with your time in 2016. You spent higher on gold watches.
How much did you spend?
I'll give you the figures when you finish talking.
And you provide the source.
Yes, I'll provide the source.
Thank you.
Yes, I will give you the figures.
I'll be happy you provide the source.
In 2016.
Oh, hold on. I'll be happy.
You spent higher than this.
I'll be happy you provide the source.
Okay, I'll just provide you the source.
You'll be exposed, I've just told you. You see, when you spend that much, $2 million, 287 million Ghana cedis to buy gold watches for retirees of the Central Bank of Ghana. Another thing that is shocking is the office. And I heard him, they've been saying it. Oh, the NDC, the idea to put up a new office by the central bank started in 2013. As a matter of fact, they have refused to even go further. It even started under President Kufuor. And the reasons that were given for them to have a new office, they cited security because that area became a market area, that the population there, when they had it sometime, Makwala hadn't even expanded to that portion. They raised several issues. The NDC has never said anywhere the central bank doesn't need to have an office. We have never said that. And throughout our demands, we have never said so. What we have said repeatedly is that if you can make do with the one you have and taking into consideration the circumstances that we find ourselves, it will be very irresponsible for you to go doing what you are doing. And I guess he was not paying attention when I used the analogy that yes, it is good to have a new car, but between the new car and the fees of your kids, which one will you prioritize? So we have never said anywhere that there isn't any need for them to have a new office. We have never said anywhere. So that argument is completely moot. What we have said is that even procurement processes, the tender committee raised issues with the figure which was 180 million. Which was around 130 million. The first issue they raised. And I'll get the management letter. Now, this thing was done through sole sourcing. This bank, it was done through sole sourcing. And you know when you use sole source, you only use sole source based on some conditions. One, the exigency and the exclusivity of the technology to put up that. So assuming I want to do something on Islamic jurisprudence, as we sit here, doctor is the only person who is clothed with that capacity. And he needs it, doctor needs it, several people need it. I won't waste my time to go through the process because he has the exclusive knowledge. Under that circumstance, I can use sole source. Or we need it urgently. He's a contractor, he's also a contractor, he has the capacity to do it. You can do that. That building is not, there isn't any exigencies in it. You use sole sourcing on the basis of what? The Gold Keys company, that company, I want you to check. They have done virtually every contract of government. Go and check the directors and see the direct relations they have to the president and the minister for finance. Go and check. That Gold Keys, several contracts. Go and check the directors, the relationship the directors have with the president and the minister for finance. If this is not thievery, outright robbery, what is it? Now, in any case, why would you be spending that much? EcoBank put up the same building, more complex. Go and check the designs of the EcoBank bank and check that of the central bank. And they say, oh, we have always has a vote. EcoBank says we also have a vote. Every bank, hold on, please. EcoBank spent a little, just about $50 million for that. You spent 250 million. There's even a litigation on the land. They have paid 400 million Ghana cedis for the land. Find out how they procure the land. 400 million Ghana cedis has been paid so far. A land that is under litigation.
So compulsory acquisition. Yes.
You know, I'm saying that you paid 400 million already. Compulsory acquisition. Which landlord teaches you that? Which landlord?
The states can do that.
Which landlord teaches you that?
Can go and buy any property under compulsory acquisition.
Oh, then where do you bring the compulsory? Why do you bring the compulsory? But you see,
you're supposed to finish or look
at the time. No. I mean, it's, you see, so I'm saying that what we are experiencing.
20 minutes.
Because we are here. I came late.
We didn't also start early.
Oh no, but it doesn't still matter.
We didn't start early.
I am raising. You see, I went on demonstration. You claim that you haven't seen the reasons for which we are demonstrating. It is my responsibility to give you proper information that can inform
on the reasons.
That can inform the distance you are going to have. So I'm saying that these are the reasons. We went there only for him to refuse to come, and they allowed the chief watchman to come and attend to us. He was not just attending to anybody, he was attending to the people's representatives. Let's get the difference. It's the people's representative. The power, the mandate we have is not our mandate. It's the mandate of the people we represent. And that is the reason why the least he could do was to have gotten one of the directors to come and see us. And in any case, even if he was the only person there, the fact that we accuse him doesn't mean that he does. It is not his right. It is the right that dwells on him by law, by the constitution. Now, it means that the people of this country wanted him to come. So you can't tell me, you cannot accuse me and expect me to come and take a petition. People demonstrated against parliament. They came, speaker received the petition. People demonstrated against ministers. They went and either the ministers or their deputies received the petition.
Right. Right. Thank you very much. So let me come to Dr. Mazu. I'll come to you. I'll come to you too. But yes,
so,
sure.
Well, yes, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. Yes. I think the politicians have spoken, and it's so nice. First of all, let's agree that in an era of economic strangulation, demonstration against the central bank or the governor of that bank, for whatever reason, is justifiable. This is particularly so when we are running a constitutional democracy. This is a constitution that provides in clear terms the power of the people to demonstrate. So let's not even talk about the justifiability or otherwise of that demonstration. It's justifiable. Then, so constitutionally it's justifiable, circumstantially it's justifiable. We look at it from the point of constitution and from the point of circumstance. We all agree that we are in very abnormal economic times. Yes. Very abnormal economic times. And therefore, if people have decided to demonstrate against what they see as profligacy, particularly which is supported by the current Minister of Finance, the current Minister of Finance has called for austerity measures. So in an era of austerity measures, you cannot undertake a project that is largely seen as an act of profligacy. For example, I mean, the builder, I don't want to go into the details of the justification for the, Bank of Ghana putting up the building or the otherwise. So I don't want to go into that. But from my common knowledge, what I've realized is that the whole saga can be summarized into three things. 1, safety. 2, competency. And 3, comfort. Right? So, I mean, the Bank of Ghana, from what I've seen, the Bank of Ghana argues that there's the need to put up this new building because it is not earthquake resistant. So it is a matter of safety. And we believe that safety is important, yes. Then, beyond the safety, will the new structure enhance competence? That's a question we must answer. Beyond the safety, will the new structure only enhance comfort rather than competence? That's another question we must ask. 2, is that structure the only critical institution of governance at that place? No. It's close to the Supreme Court, the EcoBank Ghana, one of the largest markets in Africa, the Macaulay market. These are all critical institutions. Will the Bank of Ghana ensure, because the Bank of Ghana even needs the Macaulay market to run the economy more than any other institution. Will the Bank of Ghana also construct a new market for the Macaulay people? Will the Bank of Ghana ensure that a new site is located for the construction of a new building for the Supreme Court or the cost of the higher cost of education? Will the Bank of Ghana do that? Will the Bank of Ghana ensure that any other critical institution of governance will be relocated? Will the Bank of Ghana do that? So at the end of the day, I realized that, yes, the Bank of Ghana's decision is, in terms of timing, wrong. In terms of competence, wrong. In terms of even comfort, wrong. Comfort wrong because, yes, in terms of safety, even wrong. in terms of safety, because you know you don't isolate yourself from the people that you are dealing with. Right.
So deal with the Makola people.
No, they deal with the Makola people. But in
transactions with Makola people.
Let me tell you. Yes, maybe that directly they don't deal with Makola.
Indirectly they do.
But indirectly they do.
Yes.
You understand that?
Individuals deal. They go to the Bank of Ghana for change and other things.
What I want you to understand is that the Bank of Ghana does.
Yes. You think Bank of Ghana is just dealing with only money?
No, I know. Let me tell you, the Bank of Ghana does not live in isolation. We should understand that. The Bank of Ghana lives within the context of other institutions that must be respected and enhanced so that the Bank of Ghana can function very well. Even my own market, I mean the market in my own village should be of interest to the Bank of Ghana. Nanton market should be of interest to the Bank of Ghana. Yes, that's what I am saying. So at the end of the day, you realize that yes, maybe in another time it could be justifiable, but in an era of economic strangulation, right, accepted by the chief of the financial, the chief financial administrator of the government. Definitely, this Ghanaians cannot accept this. It is, in fact, it is ill-timed, not at all. And for the safety, I mean, let's all of us understand that when it comes to safety, remember the name is Bank of Ghana. So anything in relation to safety should also be related to Ghanaians, especially when it is dealing with other critical institutions. Then let me come to, I don't want to talk too much, but let me come to the watchman issue. I mean, semantic, I'm going to look at it from the point of semantics, right? And I will definitely use euphemism. Over there, I have a different opinion. Different opinion because, watchman. And so what? Who tells you that a watchman is not important in this country? Watchman. And so what? So some George. You see? No, I'm not even addressing some George. Because
that's why he said he's going to look at it from the point of.
Why do you look at it to be derogatory?
Yes, euphemism.
It's derogatory because the way he said
let me use my euphemistic.
Let me.
He could have said
that's what Arthur Fosse said.
He could have said a secretary.
I'm telling you, I think you have approached it. Yes. You have approached it from your. I don't want to say political lenses. Let me also approach it from my linguistic perspective. Okay. So in terms of euphemism, I mean, that's why euphemism is very important, right? Euphemism is designed in such a way that offensive words are dignified so that they become less offensive.
Yeah.
So it is the Ghanaian notion, with all humility and honorable. And even you might have gone to other countries. I know Honorable certainly has. He is my MP.
Yes.
My father's house is in his...
Your former MP. Delivered credit.
No, my father's house.
You said Nanton.
Nanton is my yes.
Okay, that's okay.
He was and he's still.
And that's why your MP is struggling because what I did, he couldn't even be 10%.
Yes.
They renewed his mandate.
My family house.
How did he get it? Who renewed his mandate?
There's a family tree that will food the other
My family house, constructed by my father, my late father, is in his constituency, Tamale Central.
Yes.
So we are the Central Tamalians.
Yes.
He's my MP. And I know he has traveled extensively.
Yes.
I have seen in America, my brother, a pilot, an off-duty pilot, who would take his car for Uber.
Yeah.
An off-duty doctor, who will take his car for Uber, or who will go to a restaurant for another job. So elsewhere, there is no dignity or indignity attached to any profession. Yeah. It is a Ghanaian mentality, and I think we must, because that is a tribute to unemployment. I'm telling you, it is a tribute to unemployment. You see people, and that's why linguists or semanticists have decided to dignify certain words by the use of euphemism.
Yeah.
Some time ago, it was very derogatory to say a watchman. But today, if you use the phrase security man or security woman or security person, it's more dignified. Right. So all I am saying is that
our own making.
no.
Watchman.
But what I am saying is that it doesn't matter who comes there. The man shouldn't have even tried to, because I wasn't happy he was addressed that way, but I was equally not happy by his responses. Yeah. He shouldn't have gone ahead to tell them that he was a lawyer, justifying that being a security person is less important than being a lawyer.
A wing commander.
A wing commander, a whole wing commander, a senior officer, senior military officer. You know, a wing commander in the Air Force is equivalent to a very higher post in the military.
Right.
Yeah. So wing commander is not an ordinary officer. So the man, and even a wing commander who accepts to be a director of a place in terms of security could be the director of security. So I don't see anything wrong with that. So all I am saying is that as we advance our democratic achievements, we should try as much as possible to also respect euphemism in our application of words, and therefore let Ghanaians understand that one, if the man feels inadequate or if he feels offended, then I am here.
Offended.
Yeah, well, people think that he was offended. If he feels offended, I am telling him that being a security director of security is not at all a position of less importance. It's not. It is something that he must be proud of, because he's a man of multiple talents.
Yeah.
A security person, a security conscious person, a lawyer, an administrator, because he's also a manager, because he is responsible for a whole unit. So we should see him as such. And let me end by saying that all lovers of democracy must see this demonstration as a value addition to the consolidation of constitutional order.
Right.
And through such demonstrations, we should be able to have sound democratic governance and proper economic management in the supreme interest of the state and for national development. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Marzuk.
Not involved in the core functions or duties of the Bank of Ghana.
The Bank of Ghana.
So that was the reason why. Because if you bring such a person, even if
core
he has
functions or core duties,
the core functions of how the Bank of Ghana is run, he is there to ensure that there's security.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that as to
movement of money.
Are we talking of movement of money?
But it's part of their core duties. He is in charge.
Because Dr. Marzuk is taking
movement of money.
But
from Accra to Nampong.
Bits of the demonstration, I'd be glad so that.
Yes, but let me emphasize one point. All I am saying is that let's respect the power of euphemism in our pursuit of democratic governance.
Thank you.
We need you. I mean, when I came here, I said,
I think that Nanado needs this information very well. He went to Central Region and the type of words he used. The president.
you understand that?
Those
Because
are
to be frank with you,
office.
look, I had the opportunity to submit a paper at a paper on politics of Ghana at Harvard University, and somebody told me that yes, he heard that Ghana is doing very well in terms of democratic consolidation. But he has also read a lot about politics of insults prevalent in Ghana.
Led by the president.
You understand that? So I was ashamed.
He was he was in that politics of insults when he was with us. Then he moved to MPP and then turned it again.
Let me say that this is a family of Mohammeds. So in my capacity as a senior Mohammed, declared by my own MP, I want to leave them in a state of Mohammedan peace. So please continue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Marzuk. I'll take a few of your messages. This one here is coming from Ambassador Sampiale. He says it's so refreshing listening to the wisdom of my friend and brother Dr. Marzuk. The issues raised by Awal Mohammed is so mute. In law, the land on which the Bank of Ghana is building is under litigation, yet they have paid 400 million cedis for it. So what is his issue about compulsory acquisition? The Bank of Ghana has 12 members of the board and 20 directors, and willing to come, and none of them was bold and willing to come receive the petition of the demonstrators. Yes, Kwame Asare Boateng is a qualified soldier, but the matters we are dealing with is the governorship, not the security of the Bank of Ghana. This one came from Ambassador Sam P. Ali. I trust you are doing well, Ambassador. Right, I'll proceed to read a few more messages that you have sent via our Facebook, and if you haven't done so, you can continue to send in your messages. I'll be more than glad to read them as the show progresses. This one here says that the Bank of Ghana spends 350 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision in a year, meaning that for every day of the year, they spent 1 million Ghana cedi, including Saturdays and Sundays, when the banks they supervise are closed. That's a question from Osei Joseph. Patrick Mona says, Awal enjoyed part of the loot and is still enjoying, so why won't he defend them? It's his duty to defend the rot in the country, so allow him some space. General King says, I don't understand what Awal is saying. In demonstration, it's not all about numbers, but the issue that needs to be addressed. We shouldn't always at all time defend every issue. Defending leaders and their poor leadership contributes to the mess in our country. Thank you so much for your message. Hey, somebody says they have to put you in front of firing squad. Ali Akrugu Abubakar says, okay, no, I can't read this message. I'm sorry. Good morning, Pan-African TV. I think Ghanaians are not angry enough, so the government is having its way. Country broke or country no broke, we day inside. Ghana is at a crossroad, and this one came from Abena Pukua Aka. John Bawa Abeduni Robert says, Awa, what's the difference between a watchman and a security? They are the same. Nothing is wrong with calling him a watchman. Right. Thank you for your messages. And Awa, I think, was writing down some points and has some rebuttals to make with regards to some assertions made by Comrade Mutala Mohamed. Awa.
Yes, when I said that after Bank of Ghana released their, after the issue came up and they released their responses, the NDC did not bring any response to disprove what they had said. And I still stand by that, and that was what I meant. Because when it came out and you started raising the issues that you raised, they brought in breakdown of the amount of money spent. Again, I mentioned that when you talk about giving gold watches to retiring officials, I told you it's not novel. In 2016, this is Graphic Online. And Graphic Online. BOG spent 2 million on gold watches for 72 retiring staff. You can read the story. And down the story, you see that there is a response, full response. And tomorrow will be 7
million what? Ghana cedi?
Yes, 2 million Ghana cedi, which is equivalent of $504,000.
Let him finish.
$504,000. So it's not a novelty. Almost every
this
year.
One is 200
okay.
and something.
Let him finish. I will respond.
Right.
Yes.
So
it's not a novelty. That's what I mean to say. That indeed, giving gold watches to retiring officials is not a novelty. It's not something new. It happened in 2016 when issues were raised. Bank of Ghana came with a statement to say that these are people who had served the bank for 30 years. So that's one.
Yes.
Two.
It's part of their retirement package.
Yes, it's part of their retirement package. Yes. So two, on vehicle maintenance, Bank of Ghana came with a response, and they said that 90% of the amount went to buying of fuel. This is the response they brought. You couldn't disprove it because they said 90% went into the buying of fuel. They said they started the year with 6.6 per liter of diesel. It ended the year with 23 cedis per liter. So that is the reason they spent that amount of money on vehicle maintenance. And these are matter of public records, and these are facts that they have presented. And on communications, Bank of Ghana said that they did not spend. I listened to that press conference by Sami Demfi when he said, when he was asking the media people, did you receive some of the money and so on. Bank of Ghana said that they spent 57% of that amount of money to electronic data transmission, and they paid to Reuters and Bloomberg. These are things that you can verify.
57%
of that amount of money. Exactly. Well, I'm coming. They said
like
50.
17
Okay. So
million.
they said, so 57 million. So 57. I'm giving you the breakdown. 57% went to Reuters and Bloomberg and some few other international to do data transmission. This is what they have captured. This is something they have captured. They have captured that this is what they used to do. You understand? Again, they said publications and gazette was 15% of the amount of money. And advertisement was 10%, and newspapers 0.57%, and that's the local newspapers and so on. These are the breakdown of what they have said. No, but they said local newspapers. They did publications, and it's 0.5, around 1% of the amount of money. They used it for that. And these are things that you can verify. That's why I have always maintained this, that the NDC's opposition now is the weakest in the history of the party. I remember in 2007, 2008, when you have Uncle Ato Ahoy and others, they will come with marker.
How old were you?
They will come. Those days I was a journalist.
How old were you? I'm asking of the age, not the profession.
I was around 28, 29 years or so.
That explains that.
Yes. They come and explain. When government comes with even a response, they go ahead to do background checks. You remember?
2007. Right?
Yes, 2007, 2008.
Uncle Atu.
You understand? They do all these things. But when they came with their responses, you couldn't even follow up to check whether indeed what their responses are correct or not. They mentioned Bloomberg, they mentioned Reuters. You write to Reuters or Bloomberg, just an email should tell you that, did you receive this amount of money from Bank of Ghana for a service you rendered to them? That's very important. So Bank of Ghana came with responses on the building. They said there was a structural integrity of the building that was built by Kwame Nkrumah that housed them today. That says that there will be earthquake, and earthquake can pass through and it can destroy the building. And that's the reason they feel that they have to build the new headquarters. So these are the responses from Bank of Ghana. We are yet to see any response from the NDC to say that these responses from Bank of Ghana are false. Again, we will also want to know, how much do you think they should be able to spend on vehicle maintenance outside the 131? That's how Ghanaians will take you serious. Because when you tell us that it's expensive, I remember when they did the bus branding, we came out to tell them that it's expensive. It shouldn't even exceed 1 million Ghana cedi for the bus branding. Truly, when we saw pressure, there was a committee that was formed. And the committee recommended that they should even pay back to this country around 1.7 million. And it was paid. It tells you how opposition is done. At least when you raise an issue and the person brings in a response, go behind the response and prove whether indeed it's true or not. So Bank of Ghana says they spent this amount of money on communications. How much do you think they are supposed to spend on communications? Because you mentioned that they have offices, they have these offices, they have all the equipment they need. How much are they supposed to spend on communication?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Rather than the 32 million.
Thank you very
That's
much.
That's how Ghanaians will take you serious.
You have 5 minutes. I'll give Comrade also 5 minutes, and then I think our time is up.
First and foremost, if earthquake was the reason, then it would be very irresponsible that Governor Addison and his deputies and those who work at the Bank of Ghana to spend even 30 minutes at that particular place. Because earthquake can happen at any time. This story be told to Marines. University of Ghana is on earthquake-prone area. I did archaeology. 2 years in Lagos, University of Ghana, the foremost university of Ghana, the entire Greater Accra. The entire Greater Accra is on earthquake zone, if you do not know. So this argument of using earthquake as a justification should be told to the Marines. When we're kids, you buy kulikuli, you gather kids. If you want to lie to them, you cut the kulikuli for them and be telling them stories that were fictions. So that argument should be thrown somewhere completely. Again, he said that, oh, you see, you just lied on this program and you owe the viewing public an apology. When I said they spent 285 million Ghana cedis and $2 million, that is 287, let me just get the right figure. They spent 287 million Ghana cedis plus $2 million. You know why he said 2016 you spent more? You just lied. That was your response.
Yeah, because if you look
Hold
at...
on, you said 2016 you spent more.
Yes.
So, and I said you'll be exposed. I told you.
Yes.
When you hold on, please.
Is that a novelty?
Please. Do you know what
Yes,
a novelty?
I remember.
Do you know what a novelty is?
Is it new?
Do you know what a novelty is?
It started from 2012.
Hold on.
Exactly.
Hold on.
I said.
Hold on.
Did
I answer you?
For you to even buy.
Did I answer you? And do you know what even a novelty is? You can be spending 100 Ghana cedis on something every month.
Yeah.
Once someone spends more than that, it becomes a novelty. You appreciate your use of words.
Yeah,
and in any case, you said that you spent more. I said spend more, which is that 2016. Only for you to say 2 million. You just lied. Apologize before I proceed. You lied.
I didn't lie because
Hold on. I quoted. Oh, please. Oh, I listened to you.
I said
Hold on, please.
And get back to you.
I didn't even. Hold on.
You said, how much did we spend?
You see, you are even lying the more. You are doubling down. I said they spent 287 million Ghana cedis plus $2 million buying gold watches. And you said that you spent more than that in 2016. So what are you talking about? Now I said, okay, which is 2016? I said, okay, you'll be exposed. You remember I said you'll be exposed because I knew you were lying. Only for you to be given the opportunity, you quoted 2 million Ghana cedis. I think that save yourself this embarrassment. I apologize. But let me proceed and responding to someone. He said data transmission. When they raised these issues, we told them on the issue of fuel, check in the budget as submitted to Parliament of Ghana. Administrative costs included oil for vehicles. CAPEC, when you have capital expenditure, this one falls under recurrent expenditure. So what are you talking about? And minority leader raised these issues. He was not listening. I believe by that time you traveled to Kumasi, right? He wasn't even listening. We responded to these issues as they were raised. Now, on the issue of the weakest of the NDC, and once again he lied. He said that Ankara 2 and Co. Ankara 2 never handled communication in 2007-2008.
No, I didn't say communications.
What?
I said opposition.
Who's
when
opposition?
They were doing opposition, you remember?
He was not even granting it. Please.
They came under a
please.
I just forgot about the...
Hold on. CJ.
Yes.
Hold on. Please.
Exactly.
Please.
They were working on fuel.
Please. I was an active participant in CJ. Active participant.
I was a journalist.
Hold on, I said please take Ankara 2 out of this. Ankara 2 was never directly engaged or involved in the work we were doing. For you to say Ankara 2 and Co.
On TV,
please, you just not even on TV. You just lied. Why? I was an active participant. I wish
he was with
please. I am saying that Ankara 2 was not participating in our... We could go to Ankara 2 for advices. You said that anytime at all they said that Ankara 2 and Co would respond. That's what you said. You don't even remember the words you use. I want to save you as a brother for further embarrassment. Again, Ankara 2 just got... When you raise the issue, and I said they have already spent 400 million Ghana cedis on the land that is litigated. You said, oh, it is compulsory acquisition. And I asked you, which law teaches you that? And I even asked you, if it is compulsory acquisition, why are they paying for it?
You pay compensation.
No, the state cannot acquire this land.
Who
and just say zero.
Have you done some law?
I've read around it.
Oh, that's I can.
Yes, I've read around it. I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. Yes. But I did LLB, and I took time to read land law very, very well because I know it's, and you ought to have known. That's why Ambassador, His Excellency PLE even sent him and asked you that if it was compulsory acquisition, why paying those money? Now he turned around and changed the narrative. He says compensation. The next day you say it's gratuity. The next argument you say gratuity. But you see, the issues we are raising those issues because of the prevailing circumstances. And if you listen to Dr. Maso, his point was that look, under this circumstance, you don't do the kinds of things you are doing. You don't spend 357 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision. When you already
How much are they supposed to spend?
I'm saying
That's very important.
I'm saying that, you see,
if it's exorbitant, how much is supposed to be normal? That's very important.
What I'm simply telling you is that the Bank of Ghana has a department for supervision.
So it should be free.
Hold on, not free. Who said it's free? The officers who run those departments are paid at the end of the month. Yeah. Of course, I quickly said, if they have extra activities they need to undertake, they may be willing or they may have some justification to spend some of those monies, and they fall either under administration. Now, when you spend this money, and in any case, the reason why we are discussing these issues, all the so-called narratives and the concocted stories you are using to garnish this, to defend them, they submitted same to the Auditor General. And in the Auditor General findings, with all the detail they submitted, the Auditor General thinks that they could not defend themselves properly in the matter of these issues. So it is not something that anybody, they have raised those issues, they investigated, they have the capacity to go into the books, and they realized that there could not be any justification in such expenses. That is the point they are making. You see, right. I would just advise my brother, I think that the MPP has finished, they've destroyed you, you need to come back. Right. Who will have the patience to still tolerate you?
Thank you very much.
Because you are not like this, honestly, he has changed. Because and then he was a bit truthful and honest. I mean, he's gone to another level. No, you are not. You've just been...
Thank you very much, Comrade Bless Alormasor. Thank you very much, Awa Mohammed, to Dr. Marzouk, who was unable to complete the show with us. Thank you, Dr. Marzouk, if you are watching. And to you at home for always doing the watching, we are extremely grateful. It's taken me some doing to get Honorable here today. He's been very busy over the past few weeks.
Oh, no, but no, to be very honest with you, you know that anytime you invite me, the problem is that I am actually winding up on my thesis actually, and I'm just submitting the final chapter, and I needed to have some time to focus on it.
It's my fervent hope that we'll have him soon. I want to believe it's not too far away, but very soon we would have him again on the show. Thank you so much for doing the watching. Tomorrow the Thursday edition comes off. Kwesi Pratt Jr., Honorable Yunusa Hussaini, and Elvis Botta of the NPP will join us for conversations on Africa and Ghana. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Anyway.
Truly African.